Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, most people are very concerned about which comes first: sell first, then live in temporary housing, or buy first, then sell at your leisure. What are some solutions that you have, Barb, for people who are going through that catch 22? Solutions from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty?
Well, Richard, I think in most cases, the home sellers want certainty, right? It is a huge project to move. It's not a small thing. You got to, declutter, get rid of stuff, show the house, make it look pretty for showing. And then once you get a contract, it seems like a happy day, but is it really certain? And I think home sellers want certainty. They want certainty it's going to sell, certainty that the sale is going to go through, certainty that it's going to close. And there are so many landmines from the time you accept a contract to closing. It's kind of crazy. And one of them is that what if I don't have a place to go to, right? So most sellers have to have a destination picked out or in mind, or maybe they wrote an offer on another house and they're waiting for this one to close to buy their next one. I had that happen very recently where the state kind of has set up our contracts where the buyer essentially can bail out of the deal at any point in the game, even at the closing table, and still get their earnest money back, which is crazy because most of the time they're asking the seller to move out. Hey, Mr. Seller, we want to buy your house, but we don't want to be, on the hook for it until we actually close. If we actually close, it's just wrong. In fact, last week I had a closing where 2 days before closing, we get this email at 6 p.m. Of course, it can't be during business hours. And it was a form created by the National Association of Realtors that basically says either extend our contract or we terminate. It was almost like this ultimatum: give us what we want or we are walking. This was 2 days before closing. This was when the sellers already moved out. They were already buying another house in another state. And I'm like, so did an explanation come with this form? No, basically it blew up the contract if the seller didn't sign it. So I'm on the phone. Carilla DeVille's coming out of me. I'm having a hissy fit about this because I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And the agent's like, well, you'll have to talk to the lender. I'm like, you don't know what's going on? It's your buyer. Well, I'm not a lender. So anyway, so I got the lender on the phone. Turned out the buyer was actually changing their loan program at the last minute. Nobody told us. We're the last ones to find out, the seller side, right? And so now the seller's buying another house in another state. We're 2 days before closing. He's having to do all this hoop jump to change that deal back there. It was crazy. And the seller's like, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not going to let somebody give me this kind of ultimatum and force me to sign this document just because they changed their mind about their loan program. And I agreed with them. So we didn't. And the house went out of contract. Technically, we could have jumped on a new buyer if we wanted to. And we did get multiple offers on that house. And that's what we told the buyer's agent. Hey, sorry, you don't have a contract. That's your problem for dropping a bomb on the contract right before closing. Oh, don't do that. They're going to close. They're going to close. And they did close. They were a couple days late. But at the end of the day, why would you do that? The seller said, all they had to do was ask me nicely and give me a little bit of advance notice so I can make arrangements on the other end. It's almost like it was completely inconsiderate about the seller side and all. If you don't give us what we want, we're the buyer, we're walking, you know. And the answer from their team leader was, well, the division of real estate created that form. I said, well, that's probably some idiot lawyer that's never sold a house in their life before. So they don't understand the whole picture. And so I think that sellers want certainty in the process, yet there is no certainty in the process. The way the contracts are set up, they have 10 things that the buyer could bail out. And then they added another provision in the contract that says that they could bail out at the closing table and there's nothing you can do about it. They just sit on the earnest money for 120 days. And by law, they have to give it back to the buyer. So it's been driving me crazy over the years. I can't change that world, but I can at least let people know what to expect. So I actually had a home seller, it was 2 years ago now, really, really nice home. He was an ex-Marine infantry officer, a very gruff guy. And I asked him his goals. What are your plans? And he goes, well, I want the most money. I said, okay, well, this is how we get it. So we priced it right. We got a huge crowd at the open house. I was so proud of myself because I was sat down with him on Memorial Day. It was 6 offers and I was like all excited. And I said, isn't this fun? And he goes, no, I told you to get me the most money, Barb. How are you going to do that? So I had to scramble. I had to go back to the top 2 offers and play mom against dad. But at the end of the day, we got the price up to the maximum number. One buyer was cash, and it was a little bit lower than the buyer that wasn't cash. So he goes, how does it work if it's not cash? I said, well, we have to look at similar sales in the neighborhood and prove the value when the appraiser comes along. So this is after inspection, then they do an appraisal. The appraiser could come back and say, oh, it's not worth that much. We got to either lower the price or the buyer could walk away. And he looked at me and he goes, seems to me you accept a contract, but then you're just wallowing around in the mud and then it's over and that's the end. And I said, it's pretty much how it works. And I thought it was real cute of him to say that. So, of course, he picked the cash offer because they had this big household that they're going to move, very soon when they start packing. If something goes sideways with that transaction, the house is no longer going to look show ready. And that's why they opted for, even though he wanted the most money, he took a little bit lower offer to have that certainty that it was going to go through. So we know how to do that. We know how to put protections in place for home sellers to make sure that they have some certainty in the process. But at the end of the day, the stakes are kind of stacked against you in the state of Colorado. So you really have to work with somebody that understands contracts, understands what they mean. Now, the other side of this, if you're going to buy a house in another state, it kind of depends on what the market's like out there. If it's a red hot market, there are some red hot markets right now. I think the North New England area is hot. I think Phoenix is hot. Florida's getting killed. Their prices are dropping. So you could negotiate in Florida. But there are certain parts of the country where the market values are going up and they're having competition. So if you go to a seller out there and say, hey, I want to buy a house, but it's contingent on my house selling, which is, if it's not under contract yet, you'll probably get shot down. If you are under contract, they're going to kind of look into that sale and find out, where are you in the process? Are you close to being sold? Have you gone past inspection and appraisal? What is the status before a seller will actually accept a contract contingent on a home selling? However, we have some solutions for all of these problems. And I'm going to talk about that shortly. So it's very important that you hire the team that has your back, that understands what's going on with the contract, that's going to fight for you. And because nobody wants surprises when they're moving. It's just no fun when that happens. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about, what do you do if you want to buy your next home, but you have a house to sell? And when we come back, we're going to be covering some of the solutions that we have to help you move to your next home hassle-free. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, we've gone from nearly all homes selling for a premium price to homes sitting longer on the market and some homes not selling at all. Barb, how do you give your home sellers certainty when it comes to a sale?
Well, there are some solutions. Like, we actually have 2 investors that will help you take your equity out of your house, buy your next home first, and then you have 120 days or longer to sell your current home. That solves the problem. And that's typically one of the easiest ways to make that transition. And that's a really good, those programs are really, really good, and they're not very expensive. We also have cash buyers that will basically cash you out of most of your equity on the first sale. They go on to resell it, and then you pull more equity out when it sells on the open market. So we'll sit down with you and we'll go over all the options. There's no cost or obligation. We actually have 69 high net worth cash investors that can come in and help you tap into your equity and make that transition hassle-free. Not everybody can do this. In addition, we can tap into our own buyers. Like if you want to sell it fast and not deal with the open market, we've helped a lot of people do that recently, where we actually tap into our own book of buyers and market to them and get you offers and not have to deal with the whole dance of going on the market and making it look pretty. All you need to do if you are thinking of making a move is give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. And we could sit down with you. We give you a free in-home consultation on what to do and what not to do to get your house ready for sale. We go over all the offers. We go over all the options that you have with us. And so that way you can make a really good informed decision about how you're going to handle one of your largest assets. Sure.
Give her a call, Barb Schlinker, 719-301-3900. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And if you are thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. When we come back, we'll be discussing, is having a buyer's agent even worth it? Stay tuned for that.